Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're really zeroing in on something high stakes in athletics recruiting, but maybe a bit overlooked. It's the facility tour for those top-tier recruits. We've looked at sources that get into the psychology of that visit, specifically what happens when they step into the locker room. And the main takeaway, well, these recruits, they're smiling, nodding along, looking polite, but inside, they're like project managers on high alert. They're scanning everything, the vibe, the lighting, the finishes, all those little unspoken details that signal what a program really values.
Exactly, and that completely changes how you should think about the facility itself. If you're recruiting at that elite level, you have to get that the locker room is basically a assignment recruiter. It sends messages about the program's priorities way before a coach even starts talking. One source actually said, the recruit will never forget how your locker room made them feel. That gut feeling, that nonverbal hit, that's what determines if they can even picture themselves there.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack that. That internal checklist they're running. If they aren't saying it out loud, what's the very first thing they're scrutinizing? Physically.
It often starts right where you'd expect the most personal spot. The lockers themselves, how good are they? How modern?
Right, the individual lockers.
And modern here. We need to be clear. It's not just about being new. It's more of a professional assessment they're making, not just cosmetic. Recruits expect spaces that feel sharp and modern, and that translates to specifics. Clean lines, professional look and feel, premium materials, think stone, maybe high-end veneers, not just basic laminate, and definitely no clutter, nothing that looks dated. It should feel like the pros, like the NBA or NFL level they're aiming for.
Ah, okay. So functional isn't nearly enough. It has to mirror where they want to end up professionally. And our sources really highlighted how these recruits are dialed into the tech features, right? Like embedded in the space.
Yes.
They're looking for proof the program is built for the future.
That's a huge signal. And tech integration, it's not really about being flashy, it's practical. It's about their workflow, their recovery. They're noticing things like, are there charging stations right there in the locker? Can they control their own lighting? Biometric locks for security.
Little things that add up.
Yeah, these things signal respect for what's valuable to them, their time and their gear. Smart storage, for instance, means they aren't digging around for stuff. It says the program values organization, efficiency, which ultimately means prioritizing rest and recovery time.
That makes a lot of sense. The tech proves the program gets the demands on them. But here's the question that comes up. Are we suggesting a recruit picks a school because the lockers look cool or the lighting's nice? Surely, like, a starting spot or a star coach outweighs that.
That's a fair challenge. And it's key to frame this right. The facility isn't usually the main offer. Think of it as the ultimate tiebreaker. You've got two programs, maybe similar playing time on offer, good academics, great coaching. What tips the scale?
The environment.
The environment becomes that deciding factor. It communicates the sustained commitment. If the place you spend most of your time feels truly cutting edge, it subconsciously tells you the whole program is serious about investing in you, the athlete, as a high-value asset.
Okay, that reframing helps. It's the validation.
So once they've sort of checked off the individual locker setup, their focus zooms out. They shift from looking at their potential space to the whole aesthetic around them, the finishes, the overall cohesion of the room.
Cohesion.
Right.
What does seeing that kind of holistic design tell a recruit?
Well, when everything, the materials, the lighting design, even the HVAC system, every little fixture feels thought out and consistently high-end, it tells a story. A story of excellence. Consistency shows care. It implies professionals designed it, built it without cutting corners, and maintain it with pride.
Less mental friction for them.
Exactly. If things look sloppy or inconsistent, it hints at a lack of attention to detail. And they might wonder, does that carry over to, say, training or medical support?
And that consistency needs to weave in the team's identity, too. That brings us to branding. It's not just the logo on the jersey they care about. They're looking to see if the team's identity colors, mascot history flows right through this very personal space.
Absolutely. The locker room is like the ultimate 3D version of the brand. Recruits want to join something prestigious, right? A brand they're proud to represent. If the identity feels cheap or slapped on or just absent in this really intimate setting, it kind of devalues the whole thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
But when it's immersive, when it's cohesive, it creates this immediate sense of pride, of loyalty. It feels like they're not just joining a team, they're stepping into an exclusive, really well-designed club.
Okay, now let's get into maybe the most critical part. The feeling. The psychological side.
Yeah.
You could have amazing tech, sharp branding, but if the space feels wrong,
Yeah.
the whole tour just falls flat, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
We should probably contrast that subtle negative vibe of a, say, cold or cramped space
Mm,
with what actually works.
right. A negative space is like a silent deterrent.
Mm.
Maybe the lighting is harsh fluorescent, ceilings are low, air feels stagnant. It subconsciously creates this feeling of being, I don't know, hemmed in or even a bit stressed. The sources emphasize the ideal environment needs to feel open, energized, and thoughtfully designed. You need room to breathe, room for guys to connect, good lighting, natural light if possible.
Space for recovery, space for camaraderie.
Exactly. And that positive feeling, that physical comfort and energy, that creates the perfect mental opening. That's the turning point, the moment the recruit shifts from just observing. The
Uh-huh.
good feeling lets them start picturing themselves in it. They literally start visualizing their life, the wins, the tough practices, hanging out after
They
game.
move from observer to participant in their mind.
Yes, and that mental leap, that visualization, that's often where the commitment starts to lock in. That's where decisions get made. The feeling is the heart of the emotional buy-in.
So the facility is actually doing a lot of the emotional heavy lifting for the recruiters.
In many ways, yes.
And that powerful visual, that feeling, it doesn't just stop when they leave campus, right? It immediately morphs into this huge recruiting tool online. That quote from the source material really stuck with me. What gets remembered gets shared.
That's just the reality now. And these amazing facilities aren't just buildings, they're content machines. If the space is genuinely unforgettable, it's instantly shareable. We're talking about moments practically designed for social media.
Like what specifically?
Oh, the shot where the lighting perfectly hits their nameplate on the locker, the
Yeah.
cool branded recovery zone, or just that iconic locker room shot that the program itself posts.
And the speed is key here, isn't it? These images, these little videos, they hit Instagram, they hit TikTok
Instant.
before your pitch even ends, as one source put it. Which means programs have to design spaces that look incredible on a phone screen.
Just as good online, maybe even better than in person? Yeah.
Yeah.
It needs to be designed thinking about photos and video from the start. Instant, high-quality visuals. Precisely. If your space doesn't pop online, you're losing out on all that viral marketing potential. It's not just about impressing the recruit standing there. It's about signaling that excellence to the next recruit and the one after that and their parents, maybe even donors down the line. The space becomes its own marketing campaign, broadcast by the recruits themselves.
So it's a continuous cycle.
It really is. So, boiling it all down, the locker room needs to speak before you do.
Uh,
If the design is sharp, the tech makes sense, the branding feels right. The space itself communicates those high professional standards immediately. And that level of obvious investment and attention to detail, that sparks pride. It builds loyalty before you've even made the full pitch.
and once that connection clicks, a lot of the convincing is already done. The recruit doesn't need endless persuasion. They feel it.
They feel the fit, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the environment itself has already told them a compelling story about what their life could be like in that program.
Okay, so let's bring this home for you, the listener. As you look at different environments, maybe huge athletic centers, maybe just your own office building, think about this. We've seen how much these high-value recruits are swayed by nonverbal cues, by how a space feels. So what is a program's or a company's investment in things like finishes, technology, branding? What does that really signal about their priorities beyond just the surface level, beyond just winning games or hitting targets? If they invest heavily in areas designed for well-being, for recovery, for efficient workflow, doesn't that say something fundamental about respecting the person, their body, their time? We'd encourage you to start looking at the spaces around you with that critical eye. What story is the environment telling you before anyone even opens their mouth?